Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very fine evening. I just don't understand Malaysians. You should be at shopping complex, not here. I think you've heard a lot from Claire and Tony. There's nothing much left for me to say. I'll try to make jokes though. On Rosma. Wabi Tony has left one important bit of the scandal and mismanagement, at least for me to have something to chew on. It is the 4 billion ringgit of the pension fund. So all this while, in the first 3 or 4 years of 1MDB, BN would have gone to town, especially with the Malays, on the basis that government knows what they are doing. And this got nothing to do with the public fund. This is just investment money taking from bonds. But little did they tell the public that in 2011, 1MDB incorporated a subsidiary by the name of SRC International. This was wholly owned by 1MDB. I think a lot of us have been asking questions in Parliament. We did not get it. Until I think last year in 2014, news began to surface in business times in Singapore about what exactly was the activity of this one little known company called SRC International. You know how it works in Malaysia and with UMNO. Whoever writes the best proposal working paper will get the money. It's all about working paper. In fact, you can make a good living by writing working papers. And we were told that there was a working paper and a proposal written by 1MDB to Finance Ministry and of course to the pension fund, Kumpulan Wang Amanah Pension. If you see the conflict of interest, the chairman of advisory board of 1MDB is the Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Najib. Obviously, he would have to know the kind of request that 1MDB made, which was to ask for a 4 billion fund to position SRC as the international strategic company that controls energy in terms of coal mines and nuclear mines. You know? Of course, that proposal would have gone to Finance Ministry. Lo and behold, the minister is also Najib. And that's why in 2011, we found out later that the pension fund, Kumpulan Wang Amanah Pension, has loaned 4 billion worth of Islamic notes, of loans, to this very little known company called SRC International. Within a year, SRC International has been transferred from being a wholly owned subsidiary of 1MDB to be a wholly owned subsidiary of Ministry of Finance Incorporated. Nothing much you hear apart from the fact that this little known company took 4 billion of pension fund money. Last week I think because he got sued by Najib, therefore he had the privilege of getting answers when he asked in questions in Parliament. The rest of us didn't get much answers from Najib. Najib finally confirmed that the 4 billion, this little known company, SRC International, was involved in international mining and did in fact buy one company overseas. And guess where that company is? In Mongolia. No, not in Yemen. Mongolia. In Yemen. You see, when we make fun about Najib's obsession about Mongolia, he's angry at us. But he allowed 1MDB to go ahead and buy one little known energy company in Mongolia, supposedly with a few coal mines interests in Mongolia. I'm not an investment banker, I didn't do much investments before, but I think anyone with common sense can advise Najib be very careful with investing with anything to do with Mongolia, in fact. Because when it comes to Malaysia, anything with Mongolia means it will disappear very quickly. You had Altan Tuya, only a thumb that was left of it. And now this 4 billion ringgit invested in a Mongolian coal mines company. I do not know what will be left of it within 1 or 2 years. And until today, we do not know. And that's why I think this is one of the turning points on 1MDB scandal. Because previously, Najib and BN and UMNO have been going around telling that this does not affect the voters. And the Malays, feel that this is totally detached from them because this is, where the hell is Cayman's Island? A lot of people don't even know it's Cayman's Island, But this time around, it is about pension fund. And I'm going to go back to my hometown in Kemaman and confront my grandmother. Because my grandmother is the strongest supporter of UMNO. Every time I speak to her and try to get her to change, her foremost defense of UMNO is that UMNO pays the pension. Every month dia kata kalau tukar kerajaan nanti pension tak dapat. I'm going to go back and cakap padan ke you. Tengok, your pension money now is all gone with jodoh, Altantuya, God knows. Ain't no more. And I think when the news reached out, especially to the Malay civil servants, to the pensioners, to more and more people who can then understand what is the effect of 1MDB scandal to them. The fact that 4 billion's worth of pension fund has been taken, and that will definitely affect the sustainability of the pension fund. I think that will put more pressure on Najib and UMNO, inshallah. But whatever you've been hearing from Tony Tua and from Claire, I think it's just a tip of the iceberg when it comes to 1MDB. There's a lot more that we do not know. Claire has just begun to dig the relationship between Jodo and Taib Mahmud, and the investment is in Iskandar, for example. Iskandar is in Johor, is one of the development which government has been pouring a lot of money, and it has announced a lot of investments before. Now we are beginning to hear bit by bit how Iskandar is used to flip investment from one person to another in order to make quick benefit and quick gains. And I'm sure as a lot of us begin to focus and dig a lot more, especially on foreign investments and the Middle East investments in Iskandar, you will see a lot more discrepancies and misappropriation that we've listened so far. And there have been a lot of inconsistent information. Until today, we do not know for sure who or where actually the 2 billions that was used to pay the RHB and Maybank loan came from. 1MDB gave conflicting statements. They could not confirm nor deny. In Parliament last week, in a parliamentary answer to YB Jen Chua, Finance Ministry said that the loan, the 2 billion loan, was paid using the money from Cayman's Island. That's what in parliamentary question. My informants has confirmed and has reiterated over and over again that Ananda Krishnan gave that 2 billion money. It's not from Cayman's Island. Which begs the question, where is the Cayman's Islands money until today? If 1MDB and Cabinet cannot even give a straightforward answer about who paid the 2 billion ringgit, you can't hope that you will have a full, transparent answer for the rest of the 40 billion loans that they have taken so far. That's why in the last 3 or 4 weeks, all we hear are contradictions from Barisan Nasional, from Prime Minister, from Muhyiddin, and from God knows the ministers. You know? I don't know what they do in cabinet meeting, because right after Najib announced the audit by the Auditors General, Muhyiddin went ahead and issued a statement that there would not be any bailouts, that no public money would have been used. Then we found out last week, this week in fact, on Monday, that during the meeting between Najib and UMNO divisional leaders, Najib was persuading them and telling them all is okay because one MDB only has cash flow problem. You be saying, you only small cash flow problem, you know. And if government steps in and extend credits, and therefore one MDB should be able to turn everything around and voila, everything should be fine, you know. So on Monday, we asked that question: did you or did you not extend 970 million worth of loan to one MDB? Because that would have tantamount to a bailout, no matter how you want to go about it. The next day, UMNO leadership says that we were lying and where our source and so on. And on Wednesday, we had the rare opportunity that we could ask the second finance minister questions on one MDB live on TV. I tell you, Najib, you punya orang pun tak ada suka sama you already lah. It has never happened because the question time from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. is usually a show, so that, you know, minister answer questions and with answers that have already been prepared beforehand. The fact that they allowed a question on one MDB on live telly, that's already quite surprising. The fact that they allowed myself and Tony Pua to post 2 supplementary on-the-spot questions, I think that is a strong signal that Najib has lost a lot of support in UMNO. So the question was very simple. Look, we are all confused. Did you or did you not give the 970 million? Okay, what surprised me was the confirmation that yes, government did give 950 million, but you must know when they approve it. They approve it on 25th February 2015, 3 weeks ago. That means that when Muhyiddin issued his statement that there would not be any bailout of one MDB, Muhyiddin would have lied as well. Because Cabinet had just passed 950 million extended credit to one MDB. And of course, you know, by now they are trying to contain the fallout of that. Today we hear Husni Hanazlah, the second finance minister, telling everyone, do not worry, it is just a cash flow problem and therefore it will resolve itself by the end of the year. I tell you what, we've been chasing NFC condos for the last 4 or 5 years. We haven't got any of the condos. The cars all gone, the condos are still there. Shahrizad is still Ketua Wanita UMNO. So if Najib and his ministers expect us to believe that they will be very transparent and they will get down to the business, and they will salvage and protect public interest, I don't think anyone who is sane and rational will believe it. Whoever yang gila, then up to you lah. Tony has spent a lot of time going into the details of the actual misappropriation, you know, the actual Ponzi scheme. I was an auditor. But I'm so glad today to announce that I've got nothing to do with any of the auditors. Never was. But I think what is as important as well is the public needs to appreciate how much one MDB scandal will affect the country as a whole. Because otherwise people don't actually understand. After this, pensioners will understand. Hopefully my grandmother will change to Pakatan after this. But I think a lot of people still do not understand how this can affect us. You must remember that 2015 is the 18th year running that the government is running on a deficit budget. Previously, we have had the twin benefit of relying on the petrol money because petrol was good. Yet at the same time, even if we cannot cover our annual budget with petrol money, we have always, not we lah, I mean Najib and the gang, have always relied on bond markets and debts in order to finance. And bond markets depend exclusively on the perception and how confident the market and investors are with the governance of the economy and of the institutions. That is why one MDB is really killing all this at one go. Number one, it pushes the debt limit of the country. Because although one MDB is a private company, a lot of the debts are guaranteed by the government. The recourse is back to the government, and it adds on to the indebtedness of the government. But what I think is even worse is the fact that one MDB within the last 2 or 3 years have managed to completely wither down the public's confidence in central bank and the rule of commercial law in this country. When you demolish the market's confidence in the central bank, in the Securities Commission, in the auditors, in the authorities, any investors around the world will stay away from Malaysia. For a country that relies heavily on bond issuance in order to raise funds, this will have a big impact. And we have an existing almost 700 billion worth of bonds now, which has become junk bonds. You know, bonds are, you have to pay coupons, and bonds are traded in the market, you know. Interest, coupons are interest. You know, the interest, unlike a fixed interest, the interest will change based on how the market perceives the bonds. When it becomes junk bonds, that means that if previously you only have to pay 3 or 4% on the bonds, you may have to pay 5%, 6% this time around. 1% difference on 700 billion bond is about 7 billion ringgit annually. That's how much. For a government that is already struggling in order to make ends meet because the budget cannot be met by the revenue, obviously that is the impact of one MDB. It is pushing us closer to bankruptcy and insolvency, my friends. And the fact that one MDB has dragged almost all the big players with it. You have RHB Bank, Maybank and M-Bank all with outstanding loans to one MDB. RHB, Maybank and M-Bank will have to answer what kind of credit worthiness test and due diligence that you have done that you gave this amount of loans, 2-3 billions, which eventually came back to haunt them when one MDB could not pay the installments early this year. Somebody from Maybank, somebody from M-Bank, somebody from RHB will have to answer. And the impact on the whole banking system, in spite of repeated assurance of the central bank governor, but we can count, is it not? We know that when you have a company with almost 20 billion ringgit of debts, and you can't even service your 6 monthly interest of 2 billion, 1 billion, that company is almost insolvent. When an insolvent company having such large debts with Malaysian banks, obviously it may trigger a panic. I'm not saying that Malaysian bank will go down under because of this 2 or 3 billion loan, but it will trigger panic, and collectively, the loss of confidence in the central bank, in our banking sector, in the authorities, will continue to deter investors from coming to Malaysia. So they take their money out of Malaysia and they put it elsewhere. And part of the problem, we have already felt the ringgit has been losing value day by day. Ringgit is the worst performing currency in Asia. It is true that all other currencies are also losing value against dollar, but if you compare Singapore dollar and especially Thai baht, ringgit has lost the most and is now considered the worst performing currency in Malaysia. And what's the effect on the normal people on the street? Your beras is more expensive, your goods are more expensive, your petrol is more expensive, everything is more expensive, and by 1st of April, you will get the best price from Najib, your GST to pay for it. So that's why 1MDB is a lot bigger than just Jolo. I know Jolo is big, but this is a lot bigger than Jolo. The impact on every single one person, and we have to tell the public one by one so that they understand how this translates to the impact. And the double standard, if the public, if your voters, your average pakcik-makcik, your average young people around you understand the double standard of Najib's administration. Look at how they have managed and chased after PTPTN loan defaulters. If you do not pay consecutively 2 or 3 months an amount of 200, 300 ringgit, you will be blacklisted into secrecy. And because of that, at a very young age, you will not be able to obtain any financial loans. No car, no house, what you can get is from Along only. And then do you know, in the last few years, our Inland Revenue Board has been collecting a lot of backlog tax returns and tax payments from the public. If you monitor the amount of taxes, income taxes collected from the public and companies in the last 3 or 4 years, it has shown an annual compound growth rate of almost 11%, double-digit CAGR. That's very high, you know. I went around and tried to find out what exactly they did. Do you know how they do it? They use AMLA, Anti-Money Laundering Act. For people whom they go after in order to collect taxes, they will use Anti-Money Laundering Act against these people. So usually, the public and companies have no choice but to just pay and just get over and done with it. Because if they use AMLA to freeze your bank accounts or your assets, then you are in trouble. AMLA, for those who do not know AMLA is perhaps the most powerful piece of legislation because the government can freeze and confiscate any of your assets, your bank accounts, your house. If you are suspected of money laundering, then everything can be frozen. You cannot take anything. They are using AMLA to go after backlog tax payments. But let me ask you this question. Did they use AMLA against Jolo? Did they use AMLA against 1MDB? From the email that was disclosed by Sarawak Report, it was very clear that in between Jolo and the previous CEO, Datuk Syahrul, there was a clear breach of AMLA. We've made police report, we've made statement. Until today, not even a single one of them was hauled to be made accountable for breaching AMLA when the government is going after every single one of you if you have a backlog payment and they use AMLA. I've made my asset declaration. I'm sure after this they will use AMLA against me. And the rest, I think we know. 42 billion worth of loans translate, if you consider one very big general hospital is only 500 million to spend, you can imagine 42 billion is almost what, 80 hospitals around the country. So I can go on, but I think you get the drift. But I just want to tell you this. at the time when the public is already disgusted with the wastages, with the double standard, tomorrow, Monday, I think we will disclose yet another example of crazy wastages that will really rile everyone in this country and that will turn Najib upside down. So tomorrow there will be one expose of a scandal in Parliament. So hopefully the news will go out by 12 or 1. I think you will like this one. I'm quite sure you will like this one. There is no complicated cases or anything. It's a very straightforward daylight robbery, and I think you will like it. So I want to finish it off with this. What will happen after this if we do not stop 1MDB? Reporters always ask me, what do you hope to achieve? Tony Pua, myself, Cynthia and friends, by continuously highlighting 1MDB. Are you going to recover every single cent? We won't. I'm quite sure we will lose at the very least 10 to 15 billion worth of public money. That is lost already. We are not going to recover that. But what we hope to achieve at least is to put a stop to the bleeding and so that they will not use more money and take more loans. That I think, inshallah, we have achieved it by now. Because I think when 1MDB has reached fever pitch and people are really angry, I don't think even Najib or Rosman dares to push the limit even further. And we just have to keep focusing to make sure that they don't inject more funds into 1MDB. But there is a big but. Somehow they will have to find the money to pay for that 40 billion loan. And if we are not careful and if we lose focus, what they will do is they will use EPF, Tabung Haji, every banks to buy back over the development in Tun Razak Exchange and Pandan, Malaysia. The reported plan is to carve up the developments into various phases and then ask the GLCs to buy over these different phases and use it as an excuse for all these GLCs to relocate to Pandan, Malaysia and Tun Razak Exchange. So I only have my biggest saving is only EPF. You take away my EPF, I'm mati lah. You know, I have nothing left. You know. So I want to tell you this. What we will do next is that we will try our best to file an injunction against EPF so that if there is an IPO, because they want to push for IPO, we will have to take injunction against EPF so that EPF and any other public funds will not subscribe 1MDB IPO. And we will have to remain vigilant so that any attempt to carve up Tun Razak Exchange and Pandan, Malaysia and to hive it off to GLCs must be stopped at any opportunity. And for that, we rely that on all of you, not just in the hall, but all those people out there who listen to us. You are the ones with information. If you come across any information that shows Najib is trying to hive off and bail out 1MDB through the GLCs, please come to see myself or Tony Pua, or if we are too dangerous, maybe see Cynthia. And with that, I hope that's quite clear. We have to remain vigilant, and it's not going to stop here. The only way for us to stop 1MDB is to throw out Najib, Rosmah and Barisan out of government. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Rafizi. When I passed him the microphone just now, he said, I got nothing much to say. But when you pass the mic to a politician, they can't stop talking. But thank you, that was very good. Now, don't go home, don't leave yet, because this is your chance now to dialogue with the two MPs to actually ask questions. Now, it's run a little bit over time. because I think we really needed to hear the facts. And we needed to hear Claire tell us as many things as possible over Skype. Now, I'm going to just have 2 rounds of questions. How many of you have questions to ask? How many of you have questions to ask?
I have.
Okay, and for those of you who are trying to make your way out, those who still want to stay back, please make your way to the front. There's some VIP seats still in front here on the floor. So please come forward and try to keep the room with not so many movement, please. Okay, thank you. Yes?
On the mic first.
Please introduce yourself and make your question short.
As soon as I can get the mic on.
Mic not working.
I start first. Yeah. Jimmy Teo, here. Cynthia, right? Yeah.
Start first on this side.
Let you repair your mic. Okay, speakers, during name, I just want to know, in total, official debt, unofficial debt, in total, each Malaysian owe how much?
Okay, my question.
27,000.
Yeah, we'll collect a few questions first. Yeah,
My question,
please.
YB Rafizi, your question is very good, your answer, but you are telling us about our Prime Minister, because of the one Malaysia or whatever. May I ask you, if our PM would resign tomorrow, what will we get? Would we get a better Prime Minister? Would they do a better job? Or would we get the worst one? Which will be from a frying pan to a crocodile mouth? Thank you.
Okay, I can't.
Yes, okay, please.
I'll talk just like that. My name is Jimmy. I'm from Puchong. I'm a supporter of Gobind. Gobind Yo. Okay. Now my question is this. Today we are talking about 1 MDB. Okay. Before this, we have Port Klang Free Trade Zone. We have the condos, the town condos. We have Baik Bumi Putra.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, we have all this. So, but I'm coming to my main question. My main question is what we know so far, but what can we do about it? There is nothing. There is nothing. Free trade zone, we talk. Nobody took account. Okay? National Fleet Lot, we talk. Nobody is accountable. Today we are talking 1 MDB. I'm very sure nobody will be held accountable. My question is, what's the bottom line? What's the bottom line? Okay, can we take this to international court to hold somebody responsible? No. That's my question. Thank you, Adi.
Thank you. Yes, one more question. Yeah?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Josh. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizer for organizing this forum. My opinion is that today the government of Malaysia is bankrupt. My question to Rafizi is that how much you think we will lost on this 1 MDB? And I'm very sure that with the strong, because most of their loan is in US dollar. The US dollar, as you all know, is the strongest currency in the world. 1 MDB cannot tahan, I'm very sure. So how much you expect that means the government will lose on all the loans. And if 1 MDB go down, do you think the government of Malaysia will go, like I said, bankrupt? Thank you.
Gentlemen,
Yes, please.
gentlemen, honorable MPs.
Please go to the microphone, please.
No, it's not working. It's not working. Since you all are so knowledgeable and you know the issue so well, why is the Auditor General wasting his time looking at the accounts when the PAC, you're empowered by the Constitution to investigate even the Prime Minister? Why don't you do something? TAC, go straight away and get to the bottom of the matter and tell the auditor what has to be done. Now, why is the Auditor General wasting his time? He is just looking at the books and picking up. He won't get any information. You all are so knowledgeable. You get the Auditor General, get the PAC to go in straight away. If the chairman refuses to go, you make an appointment with the Auditor General and give it the facts. Because you're so knowledgeable.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, I'm going to let the two speakers answer first, and then we'll open up to another round of questions. Okay, two more.
Okay, thanks Cynthia and Cheryl. I've just got one very quick question. One MDB has $42 billion of debt. The consortium of banks, Maybank, Mbank and MHP, loaned out about $3 billion. Where did the other billions come from? Is it the Malaysian government who gave the loans, or is it a foreign source, the debts?
Yes?
Mr. Chairman, in this country, Jika Ramli Rafizi from MP Pandan just said, we have an AMLA. Actually, it's an AMLAPA law, which means to say it's Anti-Money Laundering, Anti-Terrorist Financial Act. In other words, if you were to send $1 million, before $1 million, you tell the bank to send for you, the bank will just send for you, but the bank still have to inform Bank Negara. But if you were to send more than $1 million, you have to apply for the sending. Now here, Bank Negara is supposed to monitor all the money that is going out of this country. We have $700 million that was whisked out of the blue. Surely you, member of Parliament, can print. Country is saying, please tell us whether you or your agents have been able to monitor the $700 million that has left this country and gone to Switzerland into an account called Good Stuff. Sure, the member of Parliament can press. Country Switzerland got the Medal of Honor, being the highest receiver of Wharton Medal. So everybody now will go to Wharton School. They got a medal recently from Pennsylvania, but they won't tell us. Okay? So please answer me.
Thank you very much.
I'll go and answer very quickly. The first question is how much total debt estimate. The household, the government's debt has been revised and announced to about 700 billion. Those are the direct debts taken by government, usually by issuance of bonds and treasury bills and so on. That's 700 billion. There will also be contingent liability. I think before this we were talking about 150B. Contingent liability is roughly about 150B. So that's 850 billion. And then of course you would have other loans which are not considered as contingent liability because it's not explicitly guaranteed, but somehow will have a recourse to government as well. For example, the 10 billion Goldman Sachs 1MDB bond is not considered as contingent liability because there is no so-called explicit guarantee. So I think, I don't have the full details and you have to piece all this information together. But I would imagine, at the very least, we have about 1 trillion government debts, 1,000 billion. And put on top of that, Malaysia also has, I think, the highest household debts as a percentage of GDP, which I think by now is already about 900 billion. So we are really, really indebted. Any company hutang punya. Sebab tu there is this one poem, Malay poem, say, harimau mati meninggalkan belang. Now they say, BN mati meninggalkan hutang. So I think all in all is about 1 trillion government debts and roughly about 900 billion household debts. very quickly the question about PM, if we have a change of PM, whether it's going to be a better PM or not. I think I look at it in rather different perspectives. To me, if you have committed a fraud, if you have cheated Malaysians, whether you are the best PM or whether the person who comes after you is the worst PM, you have to be accountable for that. And because of that, whether we have Muhyiddin or KJ or even Rosmah after this, Najib has to be accountable for 1MDB minutes. In other countries, people would have resigned on the spot. And we have to continue to press. And even if we want to see it from political angle, whether or not it is good for Pakatan if we have a new Prime Minister, every time UMNO changes a Prime Minister and President, there will be a huge internal turmoil. And every time that happens, it will destabilize UMNO and it will weaken UMNO bit by bit. When they remove Pala and change with Najib, there's already a turmoil and there's already a realignment. If they do it again this time around, it will continue to weaken UMNO, no matter what we feel, and that can only mean one step closer to getting rid of BN from Putrajaya. So I think, stick to the principle, you defraud the public, you have to pay and you have to resign at the very least. Dean from Puchong asked about what can we do about it, because I think we should have an encyclopedia of Malaysian scandals, you know, from the 1960s, Maminko and so on, over and over again. We can only do so much like this, which is we have to press on at the very least to plug the leakage first. If these people, whether Jolo, whether Dr. Sharul, whether Najib, all the board of directors, or even Sharizad and the family, if they think that they will get away with it, wait until Pakatan Rakyat comes to power. We will do it. The statute is within 7 years. Criminal no limit, yeah, lagi best. You know, so that's why I think we have to prioritize what we can do within our sphere of influence now. If we go and press and try to get them accountable, maybe it's not as easy now because they hold every instrument of power. But we can stop the bleeding. And that is the priority number one that we need to do, because the public cannot pay a single cent extra than what they have already swindled so far. As to what happens to all these people, once we have an independent court and judiciary, I think we will have our day in court and they will also pay in the future, inshallah. George asked how much further when it comes to 1MDB. I think even if they restructure and rationalize everything, even if 1MDB hive off and sell off all their assets now, there will still be about 20 billion gap, more or less. 15 to 20 billion gap. Meaning that the value of the assets, even if you liquidate everything, you still have about 20 billion extra that you need to find to pay. And that's more or less the amount that the public has to be prepared, I think. That is the exposure that we may be facing if things do not improve with 1MDB. Our friend asked whether we are wasting time, AG is wasting time and so on. That one, Tony will answer, yeah, Tony will answer. And Cheryl asked, where does the money come from, you know? I think the large chunk of the money, about 60% of the 42 billion loan, is actually dollar-denominated bonds, which means that it was issued and then it was subscribed by foreign investors. So that's where it will have a severe repercussion to our bond market, our equity market and so on. Because they monitor this very closely, and if they feel that it's a scam, obviously they will press very hard. They will press very hard for the money, which means government has to step in and pay. Yet at the same time, the market sentiment it's going to be bad for us. So I think it's about 60 to 70% of the money are actually from the bond markets, dollar-denominated funds. And the last question is about AMLA. I think we've been shouting about AMLA for so many months. I've written a lot of letters. In fact, to be fair to Central Bank, I think they are trying to do their best. But given the limitations and how the power structure in Malaysia is, I think that's the best that they have done so far, which I'm sure falls short of the public expectation. As to whether our incessant harassment of Bank Negara will yield any result, I don't think so. What yield result is when you incessantly harass Rosmah. That will yield result. No, it's not a joke, it's true. The decision will be made by Najib, Rosmah and the friends in cabinet. So to be fair to Tan Sri Zaki and others, that's why we don't actually pick a fight too much with them, although they have a fiduciary duty that they should have done, in my opinion, much better than that. Because we know the ones who's pulling the string and who will decide what to do is the cabinet, Najib, Datin Sri Rosmah. So I think we just concentrate on that, because if you pressure and harass them enough, they may just throw in the towel, and then Bank Negara and the rest can come in. Thank you very much.